everyone, and welcome back to another episode of We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. I am Brandon, and Paul's here.
I'm here, and I'm going to say my words right, so we don't start over all over again. So, it's me. I'm here. Let's get it going.
And Dan, you're here too, I think.
I just arrived.
Fantastic. Okay, before we want to get started, I was going to do this. I was actually going to talk to you about this over the course of the last week, Paul, and I decided to save it for the podcast specifically. But when I was going back and editing the last episode for Court Martial, and I was doing the short video for Twitter, I used the section where they were using the microphone, and we were talking about that.
Yeah.
And I was 100% wrong. You are 100% correct that they did have a twisting part to the end of that microphone, and they did have a button on it. And I was like, no, it's a regular microphone. You're like, no, I think they did something. And I was just like, no, I don't believe they did. But no, you were right. I was 100% wrong on that.
Oh, well, thank you for admitting that. We can move on, but I'll take and say, yes, I know I'm right, and move on.
Yeah, I was going to say something about it at work, and then I'm like, no, I was wrong on the podcast. I can admit it on the podcast, so.
Oh, I see. So you gave me credit on the podcast. Okay, now I get it now.
Yeah.
Now, that will appreciate it now.
Yeah. So the other thing was that I said that this episode, The Return of the Archons, sounded fucking boring, and I think I was wrong about that one too. Not to go too far, but it was not. Yeah. It wasn't what I thought it was, based on the description. But that is the episode that we're covering today. Is season 1, episode 21, The Return of the Archons. The original air date was February 8th, 1967, and we get a weird opening for this one. It's not a shot of the Enterprise orbiting a planet. We get that shortly after this, I believe. But it does open up with Sulu and a guy named O'Neill. They are running through what looks to be a more modern street, dressed in old Western clothing, which immediately caught my attention.
I think what caught my attention is why can't nobody run in the show? Why can't nobody run without tripping?
Ever in films.
Yeah, we're like finally trained athletes, these Star Trek elite people, and we just can't seem to be able to run.
And that was a nice sidewalk too. There weren't bumps or anything there. He just like tripped over his own feet.
It's his own feet. Yep.
It's the old timey shoes. They're not used to them.
They're not used to them old time. Yep. Honestly, that could be it. I would accept that.
Dan, that's the most ridiculous answer, but I'll accept it now since you said that.
Yeah, so O'Neill does fall, and Sulu helps him up, and Sulu's like, hey, we have to find... He just says some clue, that they have to find some clue. And they see that they're being approached by a hooded guy in a brown robe carrying a stick. He's just kind of slowly, menacingly walking towards them.
I was like, what is Gandalf doing in here?
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, not Gandalf. Well, he did wear brown. I don't know what the fuck I'm going with here. Did he wear gray or did he wear brown?
He might have worn white. I don't remember, but I my brain went to Gandalf when I saw him.
Yeah, or maybe it was Radagast that was brown. Yeah, some sort of fucking wizard with a stick. O'Neill points out that there are a couple of them that are approaching, and Sulu grabs his communicator and he calls Kirk and says, "Hey, we need to get out of here." And O'Neill says that he wants to run, and Sulu says that they should probably stay put and wait for transport because they're going back to that thing where apparently they can't be moving while they're transporting. A few episodes after they, again, transport a guy out of a moving jet.
It's complicated how it works.
Yeah. So O'Neill does run, and Sulu is just kind of chilling, waiting to be beamed up, and the cloaked, robed guy approaches him and points the stick at him, and Sulu gets all tensed up like something's happening to him. And then we go to the Enterprise, where Sulu has been beamed up, and Kirk asks him where O'Neill is, and Sulu seems like he's really, really confused, and he doesn't know who O'Neill is, and he just tells Kirk that Kirk is not of the body, so obviously something really weird happened to him. And they do what they should do, and they page McCoy to the transporter room. Like, why not get medical on this right away? Because Sulu is obviously not right. And Sulu's just, like, throwing his clothes at an engineer, and he starts rambling something about somebody called Landrew. And then McCoy gets there, and Sulu is just going on and on about how they have found paradise, and then we get the show opening. So a really good opening, just something very, very different that I really enjoyed.
I like the good opening, but I also thought George Takei's acting that he acted like was really good.
Like, he's been solid the whole series.
Yeah, but I was hoping when the first time we did this scene, the first scene, I was hoping it'd be a solo episode. We still
Yes,
haven't
me
got it yet.
too.
For a
Nope.
minute, I thought it might be a solo episode with him like figuring things out. I was like, oh man, it's everybody else too. Like, man. But anyway,
No spoiler alert, you don't see him again.
Yeah,
yeah,
until
I
like the
just
very end.
yeah, just one of those things where I thought it might be a solo episode.
Yeah, I was really hoping for that too, and we just never got it. But also, since when do they beam down to a planet with less than like 6 people? Like, why do they just send
Yeah,
2?
yeah. I assume it's just for the opening, just to make the opening more epic. I'm assuming, but they could have did it with the whole crew, had them running away, and then cut to the beginning credits.
Right.
You know, kind of like an episode where we start like on the planet, everything's going wrong already, and we arrive in the middle of it. They could have did that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they
Exactly.
didn't. So
Actually, I might have missed it in the episode, but why were they even at this planet? I didn't catch it if they said.
they never,
Okay.
they never explained.
They did actually. So
Did
coming
they?
back from the show opening right here, we get a captain's log from Kirk, and he says that they are orbiting the planet Beta 3, looking for the starship Archon that disappeared there about 100 years ago. So they are specifically
Oh,
there.
That's right.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
specifically there to look for the Archon, which is the name of a starship that just disappeared there.
Mhm.
So he notes that they sent down a search party of 2 and that only Sulu returned, and that he was in a highly agitated mental state. But he didn't seem too agitated. He seemed pretty fucking chill to me.
Pretty happy.
Yeah. And this is where I realized that one of the things that I really like about this show is that we know that they're on this 5-year mission to seek out new life, and explore the galaxy and blah, blah, blah. But really all they're doing is just flying around solving fucking urban myths and mysteries. They're just investigating urban myths and just
Dude, and
finding
that's what I'm
mysteries and
telling
solving them.
you. My Star Trek detective show would be so awesome.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
you have 2. You have the Academy and the detective one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, because that's literally what they do, and it's not really what they do, but it's kind of what they do. They go to different planets. There's an issue. They investigate and solve it normally,
Wait,
like that.
how
That's
the
kinda
fuck
what
are
they-
you gonna
I
say
think
it's
you're describing
your
Scooby-Doo.
show? Yeah, and how are you gonna say it's your Star Trek detective
yeah.
show? I
Okay,
made
first
up
of
the
all,
Star Trek
No,
detective
no, no,
show.
no, 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 no. I made it up. We're
No,
going back
we
to the
have it
tape.
recorded.
We gotta. No,
If this was that kind, if this was that kind of podcast, I'd fucking insert that clip right here.
exactly. We are going to go back. Now we got to find out what episode.
Let
it was
us know
now.
on Twitter who came up with the
To go
idea.
back, that I get credit for my Star Trek detective show about the guy traveling
No,
around
the
from planet to
Academy
planet.
show is yours. The detective show was mine. That's
They're both
bullshit.
mine.
That is bullshit. No, it's
They're
not.
both mine. I'm the creative genius here.
I'm gonna find the episode. I'm gonna fucking find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
And then when I get it, I would like a formal apology on the podcast
Okay,
again.
if I'm wrong,
saying,
I will apologize.
saying
I'm
how
telling you
great
I'm not wrong.
Paul is and how great his creative ideas go. Okay.
No, I remember this discussion.
And if you have heard the episode we brought this up, kind of give us a help because I have no idea when I brought it up.
I know that's gonna be the issue is finding it. I don't remember if it was. I think we made the Scooby-Doo joke at the Squire of Gothos, but I think we had talked about the whole mystery thing before that. Now, dude, I don't want to go through all that audio, but I'll skip through. I'll find that shit. I'll do it.
The previous stuff wrong.
Because then I just realized, yeah, exactly.
Hey, our
I do.
fans will find it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
But this will clarify, my fellow mates, that every time Paul says something, Paul seems to be right. So he made an episode already earlier that I was right with the whole microphone thing. Then when it comes to the detective thing, I'm gonna know I'm right again.
You know what?
So,
you're
I'm just
gonna
saying.
make me do something here. I'm literally writing a note. I've never written a note while we've done this. I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna find detective reference.
I know that when I mentioned it, I thought I mentioned something about a name or a name of detective on Twitter. So if anybody posts any response on Twitter, we might be able to know what episode it is.
Yeah, I'm finding it.
All right.
So let's get back to the episode here, where Kirk and McCoy and Spock, and they did bring 3 other crew members with them this time. They get beamed down to the planet to investigate everything for themselves. And then I was looking at Spock's outfit, and I'm like, this shit's fucking killing me. He's some kind of like almost medieval executioner in this weird hood and cloak thing. And I get it, he has to hide the ears, but it's still it's real crazy. I don't know if that's like Old West clothing, but
I don't understand why they don't have like disguise things, like to make him look regular. while he's out there doing
Yeah.
things. Like the technology is so advanced right here. There should be like a little button or a screen or anything they can put on his face to change his looks.
They could just
Like
put like fake caps on his ears to round him out, make it look like he just has
literally,
real big ears.
who big like that's what I'm saying. Like I just think technology wise, I feel like they didn't think very smart show wise. They should be technology enough to make him look different.
Yeah, just gave him a hood.
Anything.
I believe Spock would be a man of pride and be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, he just wants to wear a hood.
Yeah, but if we said logically though, is that the best way for us to get it done? He would do it though.
That's true.
Like
yeah.
If logically, if it was more safe for him to put the thing on rather than do that, he would do his logical decision. So it's more logical that if you look like a human, they won't recognize you're a Vulcan. So he would always choose that.
He's like, now I'll just put this dirty robe on.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
Right. And then I also notice here that when they do beam down, Kirk calls the Enterprise and lets them know. He's like, hey, we made it. And since when the fuck does he do that? I mean, I think it's assumed that they're okay, right? Yeah, he just calls and he says that they had materialized or like they were done beaming or some shit like that. He just basically calls them like, yeah, we made it safely. We're okay.
Oh, see, I didn't know
that.
That.
Yeah. So they immediately encounter a guy that just kind of walks by and nods at him, and Spock notes that the guy had a very vacant, content expression. And they see a bunch of other people just oddly walking around with the same expression on their face. And it's this super friendly guy approaches them, and he starts by saying, joy to you, and asks if they came for the festival. And they did not come for the festival, but he says that they can go to Reger's place where they can find a place to stay. And he tells them to hurry because it's almost the red hour, which sounds fucking terrible. And so then a woman named Tula shows up, and she says, yeah, my father can put you up there. And her father, her dad's Reger. But then the clock suddenly strikes 6, and everybody just goes absolutely fucking ape shit. And it's weird because like they're yelling, they're screaming like they're in pain, but they're also kind of fighting, but they're also kind of making out. And
yeah, it was like
kind of a weird version of the Purge.
Emotions. Yeah, dude, I wrote down Purge on my thing. I said at 6 the Purge begins. So the Purge is kind of the same concept where there's a certain day and all crime is legal for that amount of time.
Right. Yeah, I know the concept. I've never seen it though.
So it's like, so I read on Purge too. Also, you should watch this. Good.
Yeah, there's.
I actually wonder if they drew inspiration from this episode for the Purge.
That's my issue with a lot of things watching these shows. I keep thinking like, oh, I've seen that before, but I thought, oh, wait a minute, I want this original time that happened, and people are inspired by all these episodes of Star Trek to come up with different ideas.
Yeah, we do see.
What's that old
we
saying?
do notice
There's
a lot
nothing
of
new under the sun.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I know that I've noticed quite a bit of references to, like, just watching this has made me realize that a lot of other shows have directly referenced this one or paid, like, small homages to this. So I didn't realize exactly how influential the original Star Trek was until we started going through this. It's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It actually makes me appreciate the show more, knowing that the shows that we grew up watching pay homage to it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I definitely thought it caught me off guard though in the clock because I thought maybe they would like start going to some special building and go for some kind of meeting or something, like an alarm sound or something, and they would just go to somewhere. But when
they said a festival, I didn't expect like this.
Like, oh,
ain't no fucking festival.
No. You mean like Woodstock? Is everybody just popping acid or something all of a sudden, like at the right time?
Yeah, like I haven't been to a lot of festivals. Like I try to go to this German American one that's close by every year, and it's nothing like this. Like it's just a lot of potato salad and shit.
Like the ladies all nice and proper, whatever. Everything's going on. It's like time to get wild. 6 o'clock, girls. Wow! Like, everybody went around here.
Speaking of the ladies, did you notice the one lady just threw herself at Kirk?
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's where we are now. So, like, she runs up and just starts making out with him, and he immediately grabs her waist, and I think he's supposed to be trying to push her off of him, but it explains what they were really doing there. I guarantee you Kirk got some message from some other captain. He's like, dude, you got to check out this planet. Like, go there at 6 o'clock on this day. Shit gets crazy. And so that's why they really went. Kirk's like, fuck yeah, dude.
A party? Like, oh.
Yeah. He's like, dude, they just run up and start making out with you.
The ladies there are freaks.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, they actually end up running away, and they find a safe place to go inside, while the people outside continue breaking shit and making out. And they run into these 3 older dudes in there that turn out to be Tula's father, Redger, and he's not super happy about Tula being at the festival. And they never explain what this festival is, but I get the feeling that it's this weird way for them to get out. And I don't want to get, I don't want to get ahead, but I feel like it's there to just let them be crazy for a little bit, and then also
Because
maybe just
because
have
they're
sex
under control.
and keep the population up, maybe.
Oh, I didn't think about it that way.
It was one of my issues with the episode. They never explain
Yeah,
what was going on,
Right.
really, in that
Yeah,
aspect.
because they could have been like, well, since it could have been like, well, when we control emotions so much, they build up, and it has to be some kind of release. So
Right.
they blah blah blah, and then
And that would make sense.
That would make sense logically by AI like the standards or whatever, like
yeah, they get
like,
a couple
they control
hours,
the
and
emotions.
yeah,
You
just-
release all the stress, all can, and then I can control them again for however long, 6 months, 3 months, however long it is. The next festival comes, and yada yada yada. I can see that happening.
yeah, they get a
But they
couple
never
hours
explained
to
it.
just like break shit and have sex, and then it's joy to you from there on.
Yeah.
You think they say that when they're
But-
done? Joy to you,
Joy,
joy to me.
There's just no.
oh, joy to me.
The only thing I feel like they wasted a really big opportunity to make it more. I don't know, something in there. To make
Yeah,
the festival should have been a bigger deal than what it was.
yeah, it was. Yeah, but there's another guy in this room, Haycom, and he questions why the crew of the Enterprise isn't at the festival, and is saying that they're way too young to be excused from it. And the crew says that they're from the Valley, and there's a third older guy there, and the third older guy there, which we don't get his name until way later, so I don't have it in my notes until then. But he defends the crew for not being at the festival. He's like, yeah, whatever, they don't want to go, or some shit like that. So Redger leads them upstairs while Haycom gets super pissed about the crew being there, and he just storms off like a fucking little child. And they go up there, or up the stairs, and Kirk asks Redger about the festival. He wants to know more about the festival, wants to know about Landru, and Redger doesn't answer any questions. So Kirk is just watching out the window while people are just going crazy. He's like, this is a pretty good fucking show. Like, everybody out here is just, they're breaking shit. They're getting crazy. And so he turns and he orders McCoy and Lindstrom to do some scans and see if they can figure out why everybody's going absolutely apeshit. And he and Spock are going to go in the corner and talk about a plan of action for the following day, which is weird because there's several other people there that probably have some input, but they're like, nah, you guys all fucking suck. Like, you just hang out, do nothing. We're going to go over here and do all the work.
Don't worry, Spock and I got this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have, and they never really explain. I think one of the crew members, they explain what that guy does, and I think I have that in my notes later too, but the rest of them are just kind of there. And if they are security force, then that explains why he doesn't want their input, because they're fucking dumb. Because security would be like, well, let's wander around the hallways, notice absolutely nothing, and then we'll just go home.
Well, the one guy is O'Neill. The one guy's the O'Neill, so he does some kind of communication thing. We see
Well,
that once in a
O'Neill, remember,
while.
he didn't make it back
Oh,
with
look.
Sulu, so we don't even run into him again until way later.
Oh yeah. You're right.
What's his name, Lindstrom? We find out
Yeah.
what he does later, but like I said, that one's in my notes, and we'll get to that one. But the next morning, the festival's still going on, and then the clock strikes 6, and the people just go back to normal. And we also find out that Spock sleeps with his eyes open, which, why the fuck am I not surprised about that? At first, I thought he just wasn't sleeping, and then Kirk started waking everybody up, and he wakes up Spock, and it turns out he just sleeps with his eyes open.
Once the bell rang and everyone went back to being normal, my first thought was, who's going to clean up the fucking mess?
Yeah,
that
I
they
thought
just
about
made?
that too. Yeah, they're just
Okay,
fucking walking around.
I wrote it down, dude. I wrote it down. Yeah, I wrote that down too. Who
Yeah.
cleans? I thought they were going to stop and just start cleaning. I thought if
I
they
thought
started,
that
they
too.
stopped and they start cleaning, and I thought, oh wow, this is really crazy. Like they made and they start cleaning too.
Yeah, and then they just start walking around the mess. Like, I wonder that as well.
Yeah, and they're walking around like all
Like,
and they're
who did
walking around
this?
slow, and like the way they're walking is kind of weird to me. Like they're walking like, I get being like a tranquil and like being like a completely cool with yourself and everything and happy, but like they're just walking really slow, and I find that not that weird, like just odd. And then the woman's losing her mind, and they don't know why she's losing her mind for. Like they're not explaining why the chick's emotion right after this.
Yeah,
either,
and like
you know what I'm
these
saying?
people that are walking around, where are they going and what are they doing all day? Are they just walking around the street
Yeah,
doing nothing, just like joy to
that's
you all fucking day.
that was kind of my issue with the whole episode, where there's randomly dumb things that aren't explained.
I bet if the episode was made today, they would all have cell phones in their hands, walking around as I'm playing on my phone.
Now, see, now that is a perfect like analogy episode of life. Like you do the same thing, but you make a technology like a phone, and people walk around and don't see what's going on in the world. And that's exactly what the word is today. I don't want to get real deep right now while you saying that, but it had me think about this idea of remaking this episode or making it technology instead of well, it is technology. It's the same idea. Damn, it is. Because it's the AI, so it's technology. Never mind. Just modernize the
Yeah.
idea. Make it modern with cell phones instead of
Right.
that.
So outside of their hotel room, I guess they're in a hotel, they hear somebody crying and they go outside and find that it's Tula and that she's being comforted by her father. And apparently she did not have a great time at the festival, or she really just regrets anything that happened there, which actually was really weird because wouldn't she still be under the influence of Landru, so she shouldn't be there crying? She should be all peaceful and tranquil and shit.
That's weird because everybody else
was chill.
got peaceful and tranquil afterwards. Like I said,
Oh,
there's so
that's
many
a good
contradictions
point.
in
Why
this
was
show,
she
bro.
freaking out?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe she lost that peace and tranquility in the festival.
Well, her clothes were ripped, so only who knows what happened to her last night.
Right.
Yeah, but why is she the only one though act like that though? She's the only one like that. Everybody else out there seems to be chilling.
They were all cool.
Yeah.
Maybe she went a little too hard, you know? Her first festival, things got a little out of hand.
Yeah, she was a little extra.
She's like, I should have jumped through that window.
Yeah. But Kirk and his crew, they see this whole thing happening, and Kirk thinks that this is a great time to grill Redger about Landru again. He's like, I see your daughter's really upset and you're really upset, but let's talk about Landru. And he dodges the question again, saying that the crew is not of the body. And so they ask Kirk if they are the Archons, and saying that if they are, then they need to be hidden from Landru. So this thing really progresses really quickly here. And Hakon enters the room, and he's got two lawgivers with him, which are the guys with the brown robes and the sticks. And he basically just rats out Redger and the crew. And the lawgivers then shoot some smoke at the third guy, Tamar is his name, and they kill him. They tell him to stand aside, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Like, I'll comply. And then they're like, cool, and they kill him. They just fucking shoot smoke at him, and they kill him. So the lawgivers inform the crew that they are going to be absorbed for attacking the body. And then we go to a commercial break. And we come back, and Kirk is protesting being absorbed. They're like, hey, you need to come with us. We're going to absorb you. And he says no. And so he's
like, I'm not going to be absorbed by Cell.
Or Boo. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or Boo.
Cell. You're a Cell stan. You would go Cell.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that argument.
But yeah, the lawgivers just turn and face each other because they don't know what to do. So apparently just saying no to your enemies works because they get real confused. It's really funny that they're just like, come with us. And he goes, no. And they're like, well, fuck, nobody's ever said no. We don't know what to do with this.
Well, yeah.
What do we do?
Which is funny.
Yeah.
Which is funny. We never hear no. Yeah. What do we do? Like, oh my gosh. It was one of those
they're just standing there in the room facing each other.
Parents must be really happy on this planet. Like, hey, go clean your room. All
right.
right.
And they just go do it. Yeah.
They never heard no before.
Yeah. So the lawgivers are just looking at each other, and Spock asks Kirk how he knew the lawgivers weren't prepared to deal with disobedience, and Kirk just says that everything that he's seen so far points to compulsive involuntary action, or meaning that you have no choice but to comply, so they wouldn't expect you not to comply, so that's why they don't know what to do. So the lawgivers come back again. They turn to face him, and they say, hey, come to us with the absorption chambers. And Kirk just ignores them. And he's like, why did you kill Tamar? And they said that they did it out of order. So not that they did it, in the wrong order, but because they have to do it. They were ordered to. And so Kirk just says that he wants to speak to Landru. And then he calmly reaches out and takes one of the sticks from the lawgivers and hands it to Spock. And Spock's just like looking over the stick. He's like, it's just a hollow tube. So the lawgivers freeze up. And they don't know what to do. Like, hey, they're not listening. You took my stick. And Redger says that they are now communicating, and so he leads the Enterprise crew out of the room to go to a safe place. It was a really, really weird scene where Kirk is so funny to see him just calmly take that stick. Like there's no fight or anything, he just takes it.
Yeah, and I was like, it's almost like, you mess with a little kid don't want to listen. You telling the kid something like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like, you're not listening. I'm telling you to do this.
Right.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like, and I'm gonna take that out your hand too. Like, I will beat you. Like, why don't you listen? Why don't you listen to me? Like, I know you hear the words. You hear the words I'm saying, right? I said, sit down. I don't want to sit down. Like, I'm talking to you. You hear me, right? Like, it's almost like an adult talking to a kid.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, for real. And then
Nope, not at all. And then you have to take their stick, and then they don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So,
like, can he do that?
Yeah. Apparently you
just
can.
did.
Yeah. So they go outside and they do their best to blend in with the townsfolk, and it doesn't work because all of the townsfolk people like freeze and they pick up some weapons from the previous night's debris, which is a good use of that debris, I thought.
Yeah.
And Redger says that Landru has summoned the body, and Kirk tells everybody to set their phasers on stun because they think they're gonna have to fight their way out. And I had been waiting. This whole time I'm just like, I don't understand why. Okay, so they're a threat to the body, and I don't know why everybody is so worried about Jesse the body Ventura. Thank you. I was worried about that one. Thank you, Dan.
Wow.
Former governor of Minnesota.
I was gonna say wow.
Professional wrestling champion.
Yeah. For all us WWE,
he was in Predator. He ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, what a great deep cut.
I was worried about that one. Thanks for laughing at that one, Dan. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'll always laugh at a good wrestling,
Every time they said the body, I'm like, Jesse Ventura? Like, what the fuck does he have to do with this? But it doesn't matter.
Well, you know how he is with his conspiracy series.
I would have fucking died if it turns out Landru was Jesse Ventura. He's like, I just want everybody to be happy. So they continue on through the streets, and the crowd is just slowly surrounding them, kind of like zombies. And Kirk sets his phaser to a wide field, which is cool that it has multiple modes like that. You can do just like wide field or narrow. What a absolutely overpowered weapon. But he incapacitates a couple of the people, and they are just quickly replaced by more people. So they fire their phasers again, and they make a little hole in the crowd that they're going to go through. And then as they're passing the people they just knocked out, they notice that one of them is O'Neill, and Kirk wants to pick him up and take him with him. And Redger says no, O'Neill's been absorbed, and Landru's going to use O'Neill to find us wherever we go when he wakes up. But they take him anyway, and they just continue through the alley. Like, why listen to the only guy there that's not fucking crazy?
Kirk does what he wants.
So they enter a dungeon-like area through a large stone door, which I presume is like hidden from the outside. You don't get to see it from the outside. And Redger grabs a lighting panel, and he says that it was from a time before Landru. And Spock notes that the lighting panel is out of place in their current environment, which, I mean, obviously they're in a like fucking Western environment, and now they're in a medieval-like dungeon. And he questions how long ago was the time before Landru? And we don't really get an answer on that. And then Spock gets a reading on, I'm going to assume it's his tricorder. He gets a reading of power generations in the area, and Kirk wonders about the hollow tubes, which it's just really weird timing for all of this, because he's like, hey, we got shit happening. He's like, about those tubes the lawgivers had.
Yeah.
Yeah, then McCoy just notes that O'Neill's going to be waking up.
I thought the lighting panel thing was kind of cool. I don't know how cool it'd be to have a panel that small to light an entire room.
Oh, dude, I would love to have those in my house.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was something really cool to have. Because the whole room's going to be dark till you use that, right? And so that's the one thing lighting up the entire room.
Yeah, they lit that whole room with that thing.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, I know it's like fantasy to think something that I did, but that thing is just seemed really cool to me to have something that small light up a whole room.
Right. Which, I mean, LED bulbs are pretty fucking close to that.
Yeah.
But Redger again warns about letting O'Neill wake up, and he tells Kirk about the resistance to Landru, and he's part of the resistance to it. It consists of 3 people, which would be himself, Tamar, the guy that died earlier, and a third person that has only contacted Tamar, so now they don't know what they're going to do. And Kirk is like, okay, we'll go ahead and have McCoy give O'Neill a shot, and we'll keep him unconscious. So Kirk starts asking Redger questions about Landru and about the Archons, and Redra talks about how Landru pulled the Archons down from the skies, but they resisted his influence. And Spock confirms that the energy readings that he picked up would be powerful enough to destroy a starship. So basically, that ship that they were looking for 100 years ago was pulled out of the sky by Landru, and the ship was called the Archons, so the people that were on the ship were called the Archons.
Oh, okay. So now I feel much, now that you explain it like this, the return of the Archons, the turn of the
Right,
okay.
more people from
Dude,
space, yep.
I never even got that the whole episode I'm watching it. I never even got that.
Either did I, Paul.
Yeah, so you just explained it just now. Now it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, it's like this prophecy
does.
thing that more people from the sky are going to show up, and that's Kirk and crew.
Okay, so they're considered the Archons because they're the okay. That makes much more sense now.
I guess they would be the Enterprises in this situation. I don't know, Enterprisors. I think we'll stick with Archons, I guess.
Yeah, I get what they're doing. I get it.
Yeah. So Kirk calls the Enterprise, and he gets a hold of Scotty, who tells him that they are under attack from some heat beams that are coming from the planet's surface, and that the beams are taking all their power, and they can't do anything about it without their shields failing, because their shields are the only thing stopping the heat beam from just absolutely fucking them over. But that they are slowly losing their orbit, and that they're going to hit the atmosphere in less than 12 hours. And at this point, I just went, I'm fucking tired of the race against time in this show, because they lean on it a lot. This episode was fine without adding a time limit to it.
Yeah, but the time limit thing is in it all the time, though. You're noticing now. You notice like they
well, they're always losing orbit. Also,
they always have a problem, and then it's time related. It's never just a problem.
Yeah, they always throw that. Yeah, exactly. They always throw it on top of the current problem, and I always feel like it's unnecessary.
Well, the time restraint makes the problem even bigger because I got the problem, but when you got to serve it in 5 minutes, less than as much time as you want, I can't say what I was saying. The moment is much more higher. Higher
it adds to the drama. Yeah, it adds to the drama, adds to the consequences, but it's like they do it so much that it starts to get old. Everything they do, I get that basically everything in life is a race against time, but a lot of these situations are fine without that. They're just not necessary. Yeah. The Enterprise was fine either dealing with the heat beam thing and them just going, yeah, we basically can't help you because if we do anything our shields are going to go down. That's fine. Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. Like now now you got 12 hours before they crash into the fucking planet. We just had to worry about that. And tomorrow is yesterday that they didn't have the power to continue their orbit and they had to work that out.
Yep. See?
All the time. It's time. But Kirk just tells Scotty, says, hey, do what you can. And we're going to try to stop that whole beam nonsense from the ground. And Spock then informs him that in the room that they're in, they're being probed by sensor beams. So we get a man that appears in the room and introduces himself as Landru, and Spock notes that it's just a projection, which, it's the first time in this show that it's obviously been a projection. He's got that kind of like see-through look, like a hologram. And he looks like a Roman dude for some reason.
Yeah, it looks kind of weird. I thought it looks weird myself, but I kind of let it go because it's a show, so it's different.
Yeah. At this point, most stuff gets explained pretty well, and I just kind of leave it alone. But Kirk demands the release of his ship, and Landru just ignores him and says that he only seeks tranquility and peace for all. He goes on this big, stupid rant, and Spock says that Landru doesn't hear them, and Landru just keeps talking about absorbing them. It's almost like it's a pre-recorded message kind of thing.
Well, Spock kind of alludes to that.
Yeah, he's just like, it's just a projection. He can't hear you. And one of the security guys, I assume he's a security guy because they don't explain, but one of the guys they brought with them wants to shoot the hologram. And past experience should say that Kirk should go, yeah, that sounds good. Because every fucking time one of those guys wants to get trigger happy and Kirk says no, they end up doing it anyway, and it turns out to be the right thing to do. Every fucking time. But again, Kirk is like, no, we're not shooting this thing. Like, all right. And we better remember this later.
Spock would be in the background yelling, that's not logical. It's a hologram. It's a hologram.
Exactly. He should give a percentage on the amount of times Kirk says no, and that's what they end up doing. And that percentage would be 100. But suddenly they hear a high-pitched humming noise, and they start to hold their heads, and they become rendered unconscious. So it's like a sonic type of attack. And we go to a commercial break.
Which I was actually surprised that it affected Spock. I was expecting Spock to actually
time
withstand
out.
it.
Me too.
Go ahead, continue your next part. Then I'm going to cut in. Go ahead and say what happens after the commercial break.
Well, I mean, to Dan's point, or Dan's what he noticed there is I thought the same thing. I thought Spock was going to be fine, and he did take a second longer to react than everybody else. So I was like, oh, he's probably going to be fine through this. But no, he did go down. So maybe he did have some kind of resistance to it, but did ultimately go down.
I'm going to chime in here ahead of time because after commercial break, everybody comes back and Kirk gets up first. Now, here's my issue already. Here we go. Kirk is not Superman.
No, okay, but hold on. One thing. No, I am going to cut you off on this because there is one more thing that happens. So hold on to that thought. When we do come back from the commercial break, we get the captain's log that explains the Enterprise is still under attack and is being commanded by Scotty. And we always discussed who is third in command if Kirk and Spock are gone. And this is not as important as your point. But if Sulu was not incapacitated, do you think it would have been him or Scotty first?
Sulu.
Sulu, yeah.
So we think Sulu is third, Scotty is fourth. And not that it's important, but I like to know. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Actually,
no. Go ahead.
Oh, no, Paul. Before you do that, actually, if Bones was on the ship, I think he would be third in command.
We've never seen him in command, though.
Yeah, we never seen him in command. We've seen Scotty, we've seen Scotty.
He seems the type that would say no, that he doesn't want to be in command. I bet if it came, like if something happened and Kirk and Spock were gone, I bet McCoy would not take up the mantle as temporary captain. I bet he would pass it off.
I think it would be Scotty.
Yeah, I think McCoy would understand that he's not fit for that role and he wouldn't do it. Because he's not really. He's not really an authority figure type guy. He seems there more to give advice than to tell people what to do. In my opinion.
Yeah, but on my rant is this: Kirk is not Superman. Okay, he's a regular human being. My friend mentioned Spock here. He's a Vulcan. Let me tell you something. One person is stronger, and the species is smarter. The species is better. So why is Kirk falling asleep last this time? And he was the first to wake up. He's not Superman.
Because he's Superman.
No, bro, he's not. He's a regular guy.
Well, he did break that sword. Remember when he broke that steel sword?
Yeah, dude, snapped it right over his knee.
Yeah, but Spock would have did it even better though. Like
I don't disagree with you. I actually agree with you on your
I get so annoyed sometimes how they make Captain Kirk to be the superhuman sometimes when he's a regular dude, and Spock should be the one doing the super strength things and all the elite things. That's what Spock is. It's just one of those things. I don't know.
After we realized that it's not going to be a Sulu episode, I thought that this was going to be a Spock is the hero episode. Yeah. Because this seems like the kind of thing that he would be able to deal with no problem.
And then when we get toward the end, if you have watched the episode, plug your ears for a second. We get to the end, and magically, Kirk is all of a sudden a super genius all of a sudden, smarter than Spock again. So not only is he super stronger than everybody else, now he's super smarter too. Like,
you guys pointed me out last week that Kirk beats Spock in chess, so maybe Kirk is smarter in some ways.
This is a logical situation, though. Everything about this is logic.
Okay, but not to give away the ending here, though.
Go ahead.
It was Spock at the end that led Kirk to the stuff that he did to save the day. Like, Spock was the one that coaxed him into that. Like, he had already figured it out and just let Kirk have that moment. I do remember that much.
Yeah.
So like Spock didn't know. He let Kirk have that one.
Oh, I know the answer. I'll go ahead and just say it quietly while you try to figure it out for the next 10 minutes while I can edit things served an hour ago. Like, we got things to do.
Maybe Kirk got to wake up first because he looks fucking fantastic in that outfit and Spock looks like shit. Because, dude, I'm telling you, Shatner looked good in that outfit, dude. He could pull that thing off.
Yeah, I know. They all look good in it, and I thought it was kind of weird to pull it off.
They do. And you know what? I bet they felt cool as fuck too, because I honestly, like, I've only gotten to wear a suit a couple of times in my life, but when you put on a fucking suit, dude, like, you feel real fucking good.
You do. I think about Halloween.
They're basically cosplaying.
Yo, I want to cosplay. I think about cosplaying Star Trek for Halloween this year because after watching this.
Are we gonna have to go to a fucking convention?
I don't know. I feel like I want to.
Right?
I want to go dressed as the Archons though. I definitely want to go dressed as the Archons. Suited up.
I feel like I don't have enough knowledge to go to a current day Star Trek convention because I feel like it's mostly about current Trek and not so much about the original series. The original series seems to be like the forgotten child of Star Trek.
I don't think at conventions they aren't. I think at conventions the original's always going to be people will always care about the original more than the other ones. But I think in popular culture maybe, yeah. But
you're probably right.
As a true fan, nostalgia kind of sticks with you. So
only one way to find out, man. We're just gonna have to go.
Yep, I'm down.
See if we can get on a panel somewhere.
Me too.
These guys don't know shit, but they do have a podcast about it.
Yeah, we get our podcast big enough. We can get there. Get our podcast big enough.
And you call yourself Star Trek fans.
We're fans though. We're not like fanboys. That's a different level.
Yeah, we're not super fans or anything.
We're learning. We're learning. We're learning things.
Exactly. Yeah, to your point, Kirk does wake up first, and he finds that his communicator and his phaser have been taken, and that he and the others are locked in a room that is eerily similar to the room that they were already in. I don't think they actually went anywhere, but apparently they did. And he goes and wakes up the others, and then they realize that McCoy and O'Neill are missing. And Spock explains that they were knocked out by a hypersonic sound wave. And Kirk wonders, there's a lot of weird, like, disconnected stuff here. They just kind of jump. Like, they don't really communicate with each other. They just jump from topic to topic. And Kirk is just over here wondering if the lawgivers flaw against, or if he can use the flaw that they have against them again. And Spock doubts that and says that their flaw, he doesn't think that it would remain uncorrected. And he notes that the lawgiver's reaction to Kirk's resistance is similar to that of a computer that's been given a contradictory data. They hear the stone door sliding open, and McCoy and O'Neill enter the room, and they're clearly under Landru's control, which O'Neill already was, so it didn't matter. And Kirk tries to get McCoy to snap out of it and to remember that he's Captain Kirk, but he doesn't have any luck. And McCoy's just like super happy, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not of the body. I'm of the body. Blah blah blah." And the lawgivers...
Kirk's like, I got a body. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's doing fine. He's got his very own body. And the lawgivers order Kirk to follow him, and he refuses again. But this time they're like, okay, if you don't come with us, we're just going to kill you. So that proves that their flaw has been fixed. And Kirk's like, all right, I guess I'll go with you then, if those are my options. So Spock asks McCoy what's going to happen to Kirk, and McCoy says that Kirk is going to go to Joy and peace and tranquility, and then he's going to go meet Landru. So we cut to Kirk a little bit later, and he's strapped to this device on a wall, and there's a guy in an orange robe that enters the room, and he dismisses the lawgivers. He's like, I got it from here. You guys can get on out of here. And he steps into a booth and starts a machine. Back in the cell, Spock is still trying to get McCoy back to normal, but he eventually gives up. He says it's impossible.
I'm like, take care of this. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just keep slapping him or smacking him around until he snaps out of it.
Yeah, just slap the fuck out of him.
I don't know what he expects Spock to do. Like, he don't have no tools. He don't have nothing. Like,
just nerve pinch him and knock him out. And if he wakes up and he's still the same, do it again and just keep doing it until it works. Dude, I'm gonna pinch you till you're dumb.
Actually, I thought that's what he was gonna do. Like, knock him out and like try to wake him up and see if that didn't,
like a hard reset. Just turn him on or turn him off and back on again.
Yeah, I do. Before I forget and forget about mentioning it later on, I do love the costumes in this episode and all the R and all the little gadgets they made and the contraption they used to strap everybody in. Like this whole episode, the art in the background and whoever designed this thing is really smart. I like everything about it.
And then we just have hollow tubes. I don't know what that was all about. Spent all the budget on the wall.
They had to cut budget somewhere.
Yeah, they spent the whole budget on the wall straps. Well, we can't really get anything cool for these guys, so give them some fucking PVC, paint it brown.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. I felt like it's really good, so I just want to clarify if I forget about that. It looked really good.
Yep. So two more lawgivers enter the room with Spock and tell Spock that he needs to go with them, and he doesn't put up a fight. He just goes. And then we go back to Kirk, who gets released from the wall, and he is under Landru's control. So he greets Spock as Spock enters the room, giving that same speech that everybody else did, the body, peace, tranquility, blah, blah, blah. And then we go to a commercial break. So when we come back, Spock is now strapped to the wall as the guy in orange starts the machine. And he says, hey, weird ear guy, my name is Marplon. And he says that the effects that Spock is experiencing are currently harmless and that he was too late to save Spock's other two friends. And then he just let Spock go. And I was like, yeah, I saw that coming a fucking mile away. I knew that guy was a third resistance member. And I figured we were either going there or that Spock would be immune, but he would pretend that he was absorbed.
I
also thought that was a possibility.
Again, another moment to make Spock the hero of this episode, and they blew it. They just blew every time. This is the moment you think, oh, Spock can resist it. He's the one who's going to lead them to the promised land. Nope, Kirk takes credit for that too. It's like they love to make Kirk look like a superhuman all the time instead of giving Spock the love he deserves. It's the first episode I got really annoyed by Kirk. The whole episode I was annoyed by him. The whole episode I was like, oh look, because this whole episode this is like a Spock episode. If there was a episode of Spock is the hero, this is the one. You versus computer, it's Spock's turn to shine.
Yeah, in an episode where logic is the answer, you would think that your guy that only ever fucking talks about logic would be the hero of the episode, but he's not. But also the other thing is that the fact that like Redger and those other guys, they're immune to the effects of the absorption. And you would think that I would think that it's an opportunity to have literally anybody else on the Enterprise randomly be immune and be the hero. It could have been Sulu. Yeah, they could have tried to do that to Sulu, and it turns out he's just immune for no reason. Because they never said why the other guys were immune.
Yeah.
They just were.
If you're going to say somebody be immune, him being Vulcan would have been a perfect excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's in your lap. Oh, he's Vulcan, he's immune. Oh, okay. And then when he finds out he's immune, then he might admit, oh, I'm part of the resistance, or
and then
then you could come up with a different way to figure things out.
Yeah, and then we'd be sitting here and I'd be going, well, of course he's fucking immune because Spock is a goddamn superhero and they make him OP. So I'd be bitching about that.
Yeah, but I think it's more acceptable than it is for the way it went down to me personally.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have made more sense to have Spock be the hero.
Yeah, I'm personally annoyed by this whole episode. That's why, for episode that was kind of interesting and clever in a way, and my notes are so damn short. Because all my notes I took were annoyed. Like super Kirk. Like that's how I felt more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. So Marplon explains that Kirk is actually unharmed, and he says, yeah, I'm the third resistance guy. And he says that Redger is immune to absorption, and then he gives Spock some phasers and says to act like Kirk was. And then the two lawgivers enter the room, and Spock puts on the act with the lawgivers, joy to you, blah, blah, blah. So they go back to the cell, and Spock and Lindstrom and Kirk go to this corner to quietly talk. Like, they don't even keep up the act for 30 seconds in front of the other two who are clearly already absorbed. And McCoy just kind of creeps up on him. He's like, hey, you guys are speaking in strange whispers over here. That's not really the way of Landru. And Kirk is just like, oh yeah, joy and tranquility and all that stuff. And McCoy's like, yeah, that's right. And he's totally fine with it.
We're just talking about how great he is amongst ourselves.
Yeah, no, one thing you guys
gotta notice is when they're talking, the way McCoy keeps up sneaking and listening, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. It's so creepy and cool. Like, look in his face. He's like, like there's something over there he wants to see. And the look on his face.
It's funny as hell.
And looks on his face when he's talking about bless the body and everything. It just... he looks so creepy and cool. Like
he went above and beyond with the joy thing.
I really wish that he had been there with Sulu and I saw him. I was like, oh my god, he did such a good job with this, trying to look like overly happy. It looks so weird and creepy. Sometimes the acting in the show just crosses me, and that's one of the ones where I was like, wow, he really looks overly happy. This looks weird to look at.
Right.
You should use that image for your Twitter page for this episode. Of them talking with Bones in the background smiling like that.
I think I might actually. That's that's a good idea.
Talking about he's over there sneaking, like, what are you guys doing? And then over there talking about the podcast or whatever.
He's back there. He's like, are you guys talking about Landru? And they're like, no, we're talking about the We're Watching Star Trek podcast.
Yeah. How dare you? I like that.
Yeah, so they ease McCoy's little mind, and then they go off a little bit further away to continue their conversation. And Kirk peeks around the corner to see what McCoy's doing. He's just sitting on a bench with a fucking goofy ass smile. It's so ridiculous. He's just sitting there like staring off into space, just smiling.
I told you how creepy it looks, dude. Like the other guy has a stout look on his face, but McCoy looks like the smile on his face is just so creepy. Like it is so good.
Yeah, he's just. I bet he had a lot of fun on set with that.
Yeah.
So they continue talking and they come to the conclusion that Landru is not a human for some fucking random ass reason. And Kirk says, hey, we got to pull the plug on this guy and Landru has to die. And then Spock mentions, which I really liked this point because they haven't really used this at all yet. And Spock says, well, what about the Prime Directive? Which says that they're really just there to learn stuff, that they're not there to interfere. And Kirk says, well, that only refers to a living, growing culture, and Beta 3 is not that. But I like that they're using the Prime Directive as a moral conflict here, even though they got over it in like 3.5 seconds. They don't use that
maybe
enough.
I did too.
Like maybe later on when the situation, like that was one of the episode where the guys came and they invaded the little space place, and Kirk went to go kill them, and they got the Gargon episode, whatever it was.
The Gorns, yep.
The Gorn episode, yeah. So it feels like that's something I think I wouldn't mind that coming up more often as part of their reason.
Right.
Like the Prime Directive, like, oh, how do we save these people without taking these lives and things like that? I think it should come up more often. I feel like that's a better issue to discuss more than time. You know, like if that's if we discuss the Prime Directive trying to figure things out, I think it's a better thing than always trying to solve a problem against time. I think
the most obvious use of that would be, and I bet we get that, is if they find a civilization that is about to be wiped out by another civilization and they want to help, but they're not allowed because of the Prime Directive says they're not allowed to interfere with that. I bet we get an episode like that. And like I said, that'd probably be the most obvious use of it, but I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Actually, looking ahead, I think in 2 or 3 episodes, they're going to touch upon that.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. So we'll get to see not long from now then.
Yeah. It's cool.
So Marplon and Redger enter the cell to greet McCoy, or they greet McCoy before going to talk to the others. You know, they do the whole joy and whatever the fuck. And Marplon gives them their communicators, and Kirk tries to persuade them to help against Landru. Well, McCoy overhears all this, and he calls for the lawgivers and says that they're all traitors, and then McCoy and Kirk actually just have a little struggle. Not like a fight, just a little struggle, but McCoy gets knocked out, and Spock is over there and just easily handles O'Neill. Like, he ain't shit. Like, he just fucking tosses him across the room. Kirk and Spock hide around the corner from the door as the lawgivers come in, and they just easily knock them out, just with no issues at all, which I don't know why they didn't do this shit earlier.
Yeah, for real. I don't get it.
Well, when you tell them no and they don't know what to do, I'm pretty sure if you punch them in the face, they're just going to go straight down.
Yeah. They don't know how to handle that, so they're just going to shut down. Like, we've never been hit before. Like, that's got to be another flaw, right? If they've never been told no, they've never been attacked.
Never been hit before.
Why did you hit me?
Yeah. They're like, fuck, dude. Like, why?
I'm just doing my job.
Like, God, what a dick.
I was just trying to bring you peace and tranquility.
Yeah, exactly. Does that sound so bad? So, they take the lawgiver's robes. They undress them right there. And they question Marplon about Landru again. And Marplon says that they never see Landru, but that they hear him in the Hall of Audiences, which is located in the building they're in, which means that the place that they went to hide is a really fucking shitty place because it turns out that it's where Landru is. Like, the guy they're trying to hide from, they hid in his house, basically.
It's like the door across the room. Yeah. Like, oh, he's right across the hallway.
Right,
yeah. It was a big city, wasn't it, when we first started?
Yeah, and Redger took him down there to hide.
Dude,
they hide next to him.
Yeah, my brain imagined we're at a castle for a minute. I didn't realize I forgot we're in a big city. And went to the wrong house. Oh, that's messed up.
Yep. So Spock calls Scotty and informs them that the Enterprise only has about 6 hours left before it enters the atmosphere, and Kirk orders them to put a guard on Sulu and then just hangs up on him. Because they ask how Sulu is, and he's like, well, he's still a little loopy. So he's like, okay, just go ahead and put a guard on him, and then hangs up on him. Like, good luck with breaking up in the atmosphere shit.
Yeah.
And so they go and talk to Redger and Marplon some more, and they're pretty apprehensive about destroying Landru because it means the loss of their peace and their tranquility, and it's all they've ever known. So they don't want to, shake up their whole lifestyle here. And Kirk tells him that it's too late. He's like, I don't care if you don't want to assassinate your overlord. We're going to fucking do it. So Redra gets real concerned and he tries to call for the lawgivers, but Spock just knocks him out with the Vulcan nerve thing. So they force Marplon to lead them to the Hall of Audiences, and them being Kirk and Spock, who are currently disguised as the Lawbringers. And they go to the Hall of Audiences where Landru is, and they enter the room, and they take off their robes and then call out for Landru. It says that they're like, hey, we're the Archons. And I was like, what the fuck is the point in stealing the lawgivers' disguises if they walked like 15 feet to the next room and then just took them off anyway?
They need to make it to the room. That's what it was. They need to make it to the room in case anybody
they
saw
could have
them.
shown that.
Yeah, like maybe so, like sneaking past some people at least, so like it made a reason for the outfits.
Yeah.
There was probably no guards. That's probably the ironic, funny thing about it. Like, they walked the whole way dressed up, and like, where is everybody?
Yeah, why would you have guards posted everywhere if everybody's under your control?
This episode has a lot of Star Trek has a lot of things where we overthink things and we're looking for issues. And why would you put on a costume if you didn't have to? Like,
you're right.
Yeah, so like, we overthink it, so we're looking at it at the same time. Common sense says at least keep a guard by the door, so he actually like a reason why he dressed like that, not for no reason. Like, it's one of those things that we have.
Which leads me to a point that I had later, but I'll bring it up now. We only ever see 2 lawgivers at once, so I bet they only had the 2 sets of robes. And so they just had to keep reusing them.
Then they gave it to Kurt and them. So that you're right.
So you can't have anybody at the door because they don't have any more fucking robes.
Yeah, so I guess there's no other robes. So there's no other security guys. Should we only see 2 at a time in the whole episode? Seriously?
Only 2 the entire episode. Always more than 2.
I didn't notice that.
Yep, every scene with them. So they go to this room and Landru appears as a projection again, and he says that he has to obliterate them for the good of the body, and he says that everybody that knows about them is also going to have to be excised. Kirk tries to reason with him, but Spock is like, dude, it's a projection. He can't fucking hear you.
Like, how many times do I have to tell you it's a hologram?
Yeah, like, do you even listen to me when I talk to you? So they then decide to fire their lasers at the projection, and they burn a hole in the wall, and they reveal there's a room there housing a large computer, and they should have listened to the fucking guy in the beginning that wanted to shoot the projection. Every single time somebody wants to shoot something, he says no, they do it later, and it works. Every fucking time. The machine introduces itself as Landru and tells them, hey, you're an intruder, which they know. That's the whole point. And they go to shoot it, but the computer emits a high-frequency sound that disables their phasers. And the machine, again, is like, I'm Landru. And Kirk says, well, Landru died 6,000 years ago.
So here's another issue I have with this episode. So they try to fire their lasers at the computer, and the computer's like, nope.
Yes.
Why didn't they just send Spock in there and have him just beat the hell out of the machine?
Yeah, just punch the fuck out of it. Yeah, like, it's not going to fight back. You could have got one of them hollow tubes and just beat the fuck out of it. Like, the thing, it's not going to stop you. There's nothing you can do.
I believe Spock is strong enough to put his hands through a computer board.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah, that's a really fair point.
Another moment for him to shine.
About that.
Another moment for him to shine. They took it away from him.
Yep, they're just so anti-Spock now. You know, you fuck up and you try to maroon a couple of people on a planet to save yourself, and suddenly the series hates you.
No, I'm going to let you guys just keep going on your rants and going on while I sit here quietly, and I'll have to keep reading on to continue the story before I do my rant.
Yeah, okay. So, Landru died 6,000 years ago, and Kirk says that Landru programmed the machine, but that he couldn't give the machine a soul. And then I'm going to call the computer Landru because they switch back and forth. Sometimes they say, hey, you're not Landru, but then they address it as Landru. I'm just going to call it Landru so that we know what the fuck I'm talking about. But Landru, again, says he has to obliterate him because the good of the body is the prime directive. And this is where Spock is like, hey, that good of the body thing, that's the key to our problem. So he already figured it out, and he's just trying to help lead Kirk there.
Trying to help why? Why, Kirk? Spock, just say what you need to say. Let's get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Maybe maybe he's really there to just like babysit Kirk, and he has to feed him a win so that he doesn't hurt his ego.
I don't know, but this whole episode is about logic, and I can't understand why Spock isn't the hero. I just can't get my head around it. It is so annoying to me. This episode hurts my soul just a tad bit. And I'm not a Spock fan. Everybody knows
I was gonna say,
you're
not
fan.
even the Spock guy. Yeah,
I'm the Kirk guy here. And I just this whole episode to me was so annoying because this is the moment I realized that Kirk isn't here is made as Superman, and like it's so subtle in a way that like they make Kirk he's like an everyman, but he's Superman at the same time. How do you live up to that standard right there? Like this is Spock's moment, brother Spock. I got your back, man. This is your moment that was ruined and stolen by this Kirk jerk, man. He gets all the girls, and now he even gets to be smarter than you in front of everybody. He gets everything. He gets the best of everything. Come on, man. He did you dirty, Spock. He did you so dirty, sir. And I respect you. Don't worry about it. I got your back.
Captain Spock. And that's what I want, Captain Spock. We already saw how it would go, and I don't even care. Maroon everybody. I don't care, Captain Spock.
I'm telling. He had an off day that day.
Yeah, we all have our bad days, but Kirk, they were talking about the good of the body, and Kirk asked Landru, "Well, what is the good?" And Landru says that it's peace and tranquility and the harmonious continuation of the body. So Kirk says, "Well, you're harmful to the body," and he asks Landru if what he's done to do justice to the full potential of every individual of the body. And Landru's just like, well, I have insufficient data, so I can't answer that. And so Kirk says that without freedom of choice, there's no creativity, and without creativity, there is no life, and that the body dies, and that it would be Landru's fault.
Which I think Kirk had a point there in his argument.
I was going to save this, but I fucking hated this. I understand that they were going to use logic to defeat the machine, and I don't understand why they had to go with this weird like focus on creativity of all of the things that they could have chosen to give this thing a logic complex. Like creativity is the one that they went with.
The one that makes more sense, whatever, is when you ask them a question that has the answer is the question itself for things like that. Like a lot of times you'll see where like it'll be some computer thing should inspired by this, and they'll ask them a question or whatever, and the question repeats itself over and over again. Like if it says like I have two brothers, Pete and Repeat. Pete jumps out the boat. Who's left?
Dude, I haven't heard that one in forever.
You think you like repeat the story over again because it's just it continue to loop and it never ends. So like at the top of my head, like that was a clever way of doing things, but I think they made it overly complicated when they should have made it more suspicious to understand.
They overcomplicated it with this weird ass, well, without creativity, they can't really express themselves and be alive. How about you just fucking say that not letting them do what they want to do is doing more harm to them than good? Like that like keeping them under your control is more harmful to them than it is good for them, and like work at it that way. The creativity angle was just really weird and really contrived. And I really, really didn't like it. I guess
the way I looked at it from the creativity point of view is that they're all of a like a hive mind. They have no representation of who they really are. Like, oh, hey, we all just think the same thing.
I agree with you. So what you're saying makes sense though. But the issue isn't that. The issue that don't make sense. The issue is it was just a random situation. They made it more overcomplicated, something that should have been way simple. They try to make it about.
No, I agree. I think they were trying to go for a deeper meaning, though.
I don't think they hit it. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, I understand like the situation here. I don't agree that that's the way that they should have done it. I mean, they could have done the same thing. Maybe it's just the use of the word creativity. Like you could have just put a different word in there and meant the same damn thing. It's really fucking dumb that they're like, yeah, if they can't be creative, then are they even really alive? Like, how about if they can't freely express their thoughts and emotions, are they really alive?
But they're alive, so they are alive.
What if they would have said? Would it have been better if they would have said like free will?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Thank you. I was trying to get there and I couldn't fucking get there. Yes, like without free, like not having free will is more harmful to you than being controlled and not being, like in danger of all this shit.
Yeah, they're
like
living, but
that's what they should have
really
done.
living. Yeah,
exactly.
They're living, but they're not really living.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, the creativity thing for me just fucking killed it. It's so, I don't know why, because it's not like this big deal, but it just, I don't understand why they went that way.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so he goes through the whole creativity ramp. There's no life and the body dies, and that would be Landru's fault. And the machine says that it's not programmed to answer that question, and then 2 lawgivers enter the room, and this was where my note was like, why the fuck are there always 2? Because do they only have 2 robes? Possibly, because I think the 2 robes actually disappeared from the floor behind them, so I think they only had 2 robes.
That's funny.
They snuck in and picked them up, put them on really quick, like, oh hey, we're here now.
Yeah, we made it. Sorry. But Kirk is just like, fuck it, let's blast these guys. And Spock says, no, that's unnecessary. The lawgivers, they're not under any control right now. They don't have any guidance, and they don't know what to do. This is a first for them. Because they rush in, they're like, what do we do, Landru? And Kirk's like, well, you get fucked up, and he's ready to just blast them. So they don't blast them, and Kirk just tells Landru, he's like, hey, you need to answer this question. He says that the machine is like, no, they don't have creativity. That is reserved to me. And so this is where Spock finally chimes in. So he's like, can we move this along? I got an appointment later. And he says that creativity is necessary for the health of the body. And the machine says, well, that's impossible, which is a fucking stupid answer to that. Doesn't make any sense. And Kirk suggests that the machine must create the good because it's the will of Landru. So, hey, you have to do good stuff because that's what the original Landru wanted. And so the machine says, well, but there's also evil, which is also fucking stupid. And Kirk responds that the evil must be destroyed because it's the prime directive, and he says that the computer is the evil one. And so the computer's like, fuck, you got me. And it starts like sparking and smoking and asking for help in a really pathetic way that kind of made me feel bad for it. And it's just like, help me, help. And then it just finally shuts off.
That whole scene right there, though, I feel like it could have been so much better, because the idea actually is real clever. Because I think, once again, I've seen this idea before, but got to think about it. This was 1972, 73.
Yeah, I believe this was the first. This was it.
So like every idea after this kind of branched from this moment. I'm assuming that, this wasn't a well thought out thing. Because this thing about this Star Trek show, I'm going to get to it for a minute, where they seem to be ahead of themselves with a lot of technology lingo and jargon and like the way they act, and happens to like be real now. Like things they imagined and made up in this, actually some things that happen now. So I think that's very clever of this show, where like nothing in this show seems impossibly like it couldn't exist in the future eventually.
Yeah. Also super fucking sad that the themes that they touch on are still present all this time later, but that's another discussion entirely.
Yeah. It's just interesting. Like this show's really cool. So
yeah. But so yeah, the computer's done for, and Marplon's like, well, what do we do now? And Kirk, like an absolute fucking piece of shit. This is an exact quote from him, okay? He says, well, Marplon, you're on your own now. I hope you're up to it. You can get rid of these robes, and if I were you, I'd start looking for another job. Dude, you just wrecked their whole fucking way of life, and you're like, get good, scrub. Get some new fucking clothes, you nerd. Like, you're on your own now. Like, dude, you ruined their entire way of life that they have. That's all they've ever known. And you go in there and fuck it up, and you're just like, yeah, GG, bro. Like, get good. Like, come the fuck on. Like, what a dick. That was so out of character. He's like, yeah, we fucked up your world. We ain't helping you. Like, wow, dude.
He's like, I've had enough of this planet. I want to go now.
Would you say it like that? I'm like, oh, that is kind of messed up, huh?
Well, and the way he said it was just like so snarky and so just like sarcastic and condescending. He literally tells him he should start looking for another job. Like, dude.
Now that's something Spock would have done.
Yeah, like you just destroyed this man's job. Like, what the fuck? Not even like, hey, we'll make sure the Federation helps or some shit. It's just like, you're on your own now, fucking loser.
Yeah, you didn't say, we're gonna send some people down here to help you guys or nothing.
It was so shitty, dude. I saw that, I was like, damn, dude.
Oh God, I just watched the scene just now because everybody else watching during the thing. Wow, you're right. The look on his face, like he was annoyed.
Yeah, he's like, not my fucking problem. And he's just out.
That is 30. I just saw that. Oh, that's really mean. He was like, oh, oh, wow. I didn't guess that the first time. I'm kind of upset.
That's so shitty.
Wow.
But he's done. He gets done with that, and then he just calls the Enterprise. He calls Scotty. Scotty's like, yeah, heat rays are gone. Sulu's back to normal. And Kirk's like, get us the fuck out of here. And then they get beamed up.
He's like, yeah, and Kirk out.
I've had enough of this bullshit for 1 week.
He's like, it was nice when we came here, but now suddenly it's like third world, and I want out.
Yeah,
so.
I want out here. I've had enough of this today. They don't even know who they're dealing with. I'm Captain Kirk.
So fucking shitty.
He's
like, you know what I do? I kiss women. I wreck civilizations. Get me off this bitch.
Oh my God! Now that you mentioned it, I see it. Oh my God, that's it.
He's like, showing up, kissing your women, destroying your god. Let's fucking go. That's it. And like a pair of sunglasses appears on him, and he fucking beams out.
Kirk out.
He's like, peace out.
No, Kirk out. Kirk out.
Kirk out. Yep.
Kirk out.
Kirk out.
Yep.
So a little bit later here, Kirk's giving a captain's log, and they're leaving Beta 3, and he says that their sociologist, which is Lindstrom, is staying behind with a party of experts who will help restore the planet's culture to a human form. So I guess they did actually decide to help out a little bit, but they left probably like 4 or 5 people to help restore this entire planet. And so they always have these little discussions at the end of the episode, and Kirk is like, wow, that computer really was a marvelous feat of engineering. And Kirk's like, well, it was only a machine, and the original Landru couldn't give it his wisdom, his compassion, his understanding, or his soul. And Spock is like, well, I prefer the concrete and the graspable and the provable. And so Kirk, kind of sarcastically says, well, you'd make a splendid computer. And Spock is like, thank you. Like, he's really touched by that comment.
Yeah. That's what I said too when I saw that. I thought, you know what? That is so. What a subtle way to make a joke and reiterate the fact that Spock is different.
Yeah.
What a really cool way to oh, that's compliment for me. Like a computer. Oh, thanks, bro. Like,
if Spock could print that compliment out and hang it on his wall, he would.
Yeah,
he would look at it every day.
Yep.
He's gonna write it on his calendar.
I mean, let's be honest. The Enterprise. The Enterprise cruise is always complimenting Spock.
All the time, yep.
Yeah, the sarcasm is ticking.
Especially Bone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, oddly enough here, they get a transmission, and Uhura tells them that it comes from Lindstrom, and he says that things are going pretty well on the planet already, which they've been gone for like a few hours at this point, so either he's really good at their job, or he's just fucking lying.
We don't know how long it is, actually.
They're just now leaving, though. Like, they haven't even left the planet yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying it could have been there for a couple days already. We don't know. It could have been. Yeah. They could have been for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, like helping out, and now they get ready to leave.
Maybe those people are just like, they figured, fuck it. They've already been brainwashed, so we're just gonna brainwash them into doing like normal shit, and they won't even know. Like, hey, it's going real good down here. We brainwashing the fuck out of them.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be like like I said, a long time later. You're not sure.
Yeah. But Spock remarks that mankind has often wished for a world as peaceful and secure as the one that Landroid provided, and Kirk is like, whew, well, I guess we're lucky we never got that one, and then they just leave, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, but that last quote brings up the idea of giving up your freedoms and security to be safe.
Yeah. He would rather have the chaos.
Like peaceful.
Yeah,
like to be peaceful. Like, would you give up your freedom to be safe? Like, that's kind of a big idea about life, freedom and security to get safe. I thought when it got to that point, I thought, man, they do this really good, clever thing that is still the idea, that thought is still brought up today. Like, what would you give up to feel safe? Would you give up your freedom of choice? Would you give up whatever it is to be safe?
Just basically your individuality for safety.
Yep.
Do we want to live in Demolition Man?
Well, unless you're Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Get out of here, unless you're Wesley. Oh, man.
What do you got against Wesley Snipes?
Yeah,
He doesn't pay his taxes. That's what we got against him.
I love Wesley Snipes.
I have nothing to do that. I have no to say to that.
I think he actually went to prison for that, I believe, for tax evasion.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. He forgot to pay taxes for a minute. He just forgot. He wasn't evading.
Yeah.
He blamed. He ain't going nowhere.
So, final thoughts on this one, Paul?
I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't love it, but I did like the idea of the whole episode. I thought it was real cool with the AI being the bad guy. And then, this time it got away with the whole God powers, but not really being God powers, more AI powers to control things like that. That was cool. I thought, I really liked the art and the background, the direction, the costumes. Like, there's nothing in the episode I even complained about. I liked all the CGI. Like I said, for some reason, this episode was like everything about it was good. It was just the small, subtle things that didn't follow in the story kind of annoyed me, and that's the small things. It's just me being picky. But
Right.
I don't know if I skip this episode next time I watch it or not. But it was all right.
Yeah, by your description last week of it, I thought it was going to be fucking terrible, and it turned out to be one that I enjoyed. But I think I enjoyed the idea of it more than the execution of it, because, like you said, they didn't expand on some of the ideas that they had. They could have gone a little deeper into like the festival stuff, or just we touched on quite a few things. I'm not going to reiterate them. I was totally cool with it until the end. Fuck the end of this episode. The creativity thing is fucking dumb. Spock should have been the hero, and
Yeah.
Kirk is just there to make out with people and kill gods. And so, it was okay. Like, yeah, it was all right. Not, I feel like I say this a lot, but not great, not terrible. That's pretty much it. Dan?
I'm not sure how I feel about the episode. I thought it was all right. I kind of like you. I wish they would have touched more upon what was going on with like the festival. Why were the old people excluded from joining it? I just wish he would have added more to it, at least the lore, because I just left here wondering, why did the people freak the hell out when it became 6 o'clock? Then when it became 6 o'clock in the morning, why did they all go back to normal? I don't know. It was just a weird episode.
Yeah.
You're right about one thing, Dan. I think that once you brought it up with the festival part, I feel like this should have been a two-part episode. Like the first part being about the festival and what the hell that situation, and the second part being about the AI thing. Like they could have, but put them together somehow. Like I feel like they could have. I feel like they tried to fit. They didn't have enough time to expand on the small details, information that would make the episode much better.
That seems to be a trend that we run into quite a bit, is that a lot of these episodes feel like they just don't have the time to expand on their ideas, because they have really good ideas and they start, but they always drop the ball. Not always, frequently they drop the ball.
I think it's a thing of the time where people watch things for entertainment and they didn't dig in too deep like we're doing right now. You gotta imagine, we got 50, 60 more years, no, 50 more years of knowledge. This movie came out 40 more years now, somewhere in there, right? So it's like, we're seeing it and we're smarter than they were back then. We know more science than then. We know some of this stuff really exists now today. So our thought process is way different than the fantasy they saw. The fantasy we see, this seems possible to us. To them, it seemed like a complete fantasy. So they didn't. So they didn't really look at everything to learn all the fine details. Like but we're sitting there watching the show back, and we're looking at every detail because we care about the small details of the bigger story. So it's like, I think it's a thing of the times more than it's just them not writing like they used to.
Right. Well, storytelling is definitely improved since, I'm not saying that the storytelling was bad back then, but it's just a different way on how we tell stories for entertainment.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And like we do touch on quite a bit here, is that, like you said, Paul, we're watching this, paying attention to it. We're scrutinizing it a little bit more, just for the sake of content on the podcast. So generally, when I watch a show, which isn't often, I'm not just sitting there like combing over everything, looking for something to nitpick and to tear apart.
Actually,
it's not that any of this stuff really.
I do that more often. I watch a show, and I'm such a like a movie nerd now. Like I happen to watch the background. I listen to the sound. I've been listening to dialogue. I happen to break stuff down like that. It's because that's my hobby and that's what I love to do.
Right.
Or like I'll see a cut of something of a scene. That was I've never seen something done like that before. Like a scene I've seen search that way, whatever. So like that's kind of how my mind works though. So even if I wasn't critiquing this as bad, I think the way my mind works, I look at all the details and the aspects of everything just because that's the way I am.
Right. Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of free time to watch a lot of shit. Like normally this Star Trek episode is about that's the one thing I get to watch every week. But when I do get to look at stuff, I don't look at it like that. And then the things that we do make fun of here generally don't detract from my enjoyment of it. It's just stupid little shit that we'd like to make fun of, and it doesn't hurt it at all until we get the ending and it's about they use a creativity argument, and then I say fuck this, I'm never watching an episode of Star Trek again, and this podcast is over with. Fuck this shit. But yeah, I mean, next episode, season 1, episode 22, Space Seed. A few ways that one could go.
Oh yeah, and it says actually, listen, guys, this is the hypest I've ever been for an episode ever. And I mean, I'm shaking right now because Kirk meets the Earth Eugenics War. And for everything I've heard about Star Trek, the 2 movie, The Wrath of Khan, is the best Star Trek thing ever made in history. And that's the number one thing everybody says.
Wow, we're there already, huh?
Yeah.
Dude, Khan is one of those characters that transcend like pulp culture. Like most people knew who Khan is if you've never even watched Star Trek.
Just from Shatner yelling Khan. that's my extent of knowledge on that.
I'm not sure if we're going to meet him here. Then we meet him a couple times throughout the show, and then the movie comes out. I'm not sure if they made the movie even after all the shows were over.
The movies did not start coming out until the 80s, and this show stopped running in like 69, I think.
Yeah, so whatever happens this episode must be so deep that Khan just 20 years later coming back for the gut. So I'm real excited.
Wait, do you have the episode description for me?
Me too, can't wait.
Yeah, literally it says Kirk meets Khan, a leader of the Earth Eugenics War. That's all it says.
Oh, okay, that was it. Okay, I thought that was your description. Yep. Shit, okay.
No. That's literally that's on the line that said yeah, literally.
Got it. Wow, they go short on that one.
Yeah, if I remember right, like, oh my gosh, I'm excited for this one. I don't want to ruin it because I know a lot about this episode from I actually watched the movie, the Star Trek movies, the newer ones that came out, and Khan they brought him back as one of the bad guys.
Okay. So that should be a good one.
Benedict Cumberbatch played him.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was a great movie, by the way. Also.
Yep. So I know a little bit about the story already, so I'm excited to watch this episode.
All right. Yeah. Well, with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up for this one. As always, we're on Twitter at WWST_podcast. Gmail is WWSTpod@gmail.com. We are everywhere you can find your favorite podcasts. And if you like what we're doing here, please consider giving us a rating. You don't even have to comment on the rating or like a review. Just, rating anywhere between 1 to 5 stars is cool. If not, that's cool too. But with that, I'm just going to say thank you guys for, I was going to say tuning in, but it's not a radio station. It's a podcast. So thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Also, one thing, if you guys do remember what episode that we mentioned the Star Trek Detective,
I'm going to find it.
Listen, be sure to hit us up on our Twitter. Let us know what idea it is or whatever, because I really would like to get the recognition for my greatness. Okay? And thank you, people. And, we out of here. Later.